Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Channel Dad Bryon Lape Reads. And people have been asking me, how come you don't do any more pop culture stuff? Well, this is kind of a pop culture brain muffin at the movies. Mainly because not a whole lot's going on, and what is depressing. Thank you, government. So this comes from Elle Magazine. I thought this was an old article, but it's just yesterday. In fact, Black Widow, everything we know about the prequel starring Scarlett Johansson. So there she is. Is that Endgame? I guess that's Endgame when she was blonde and looking like Rogue. Whoever her personal trainer was years ago that forced those to go away. Anyway, after a decade of joining forces with the likes of Iron Man, Captain America, and Hulk, Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow is getting her own movie. Like 8 years overdue, in my opinion. But those eager for Natasha Romanoff's next on-screen adventure will have to wait a little longer. Again, Disney has postponed the release date, because of all the COVID shite, until May 2021. So from November this year to May. It helps if you read forward and not backward. That's a whole year after the original. But I think it's going to be, the theaters have a bigger chance of people actually can go to them. So that is if their theater survives. I think in many places theaters are going to be out of business. We'll see. We'll see what happens in the reset. That's really going to be the Hollywood reset. Is going to be really the interesting part. Yeah, because in my opinion, so she shows up in Iron Man 2, I believe. And then after she has a part in, I don't know if it's Captain America. Anyway, they all run together to me because it's the same scripts over and over and over again. But basically, after the second time she was in a movie, she should have had her, or maybe in between. Now, I know that those years were pretty tight. There was a lot of movies going on because we had to have Doctor Strange and some others. So this prequel at this point, it's happy and sad. I'm glad to see that the movie is finally coming out, but I think they should have done it years ago. I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years ago, somewhere in there. I think I would have done it before Iron Man 3. So somewhere between Iron Man 2 and Iron Man 3 is where I think they should have put her movie. Kind of an origin story type of thing. But hey, woulda, shoulda, coulda. Natasha Romanoff's standalone movie was poised to hit theaters May 1st. Yep. And then that was postponed. And so it became November 6th. And it looks like May 7th of next year, the Wrap reports. The move will also cause reshuffling with other Marvel titles, including Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings and Eternals. I think Eternals is going to be bad. I really think it's going to, I'm not hoping I'm wrong. Okay. I really, really hope because I want to see this next phase of Marvel. Granted, we don't need 4 or 5 a year, but it would be nice to see them get their own legs and kind of move on from the Thanos branch, the Thanos story arc, and the big names move on to other things. And some of the other characters who had to play second fiddle for a variety of reasons, not just because the star power, but just the characters who they were. Let them come to the forefront. And, and even if you have to recast Spider-Man, do not start his origin again. And see, these big, in particular, if they just get back to entertainment, tell a story, but just tell a good story and entertain us and don't preach at us. Who's in it? The Kate Shortland directed movie will see Johansson returning into the titular role, of course. After her demise in Avengers Endgame, those joining the Oscar nominee will include Florence Pugh as Yelena. I don't know who that is. With Variety breaking news of her casting in March. Okay. During an interview on Variety's Actors on Actors series, Pugh called the experience of working on the film, which shot in London, Budapest. And I recently looked up how to say that correctly, and I don't remember. Morocco and Atlanta. One of the most bizarre nuts extravaganza experiences. That's good. I think making these kind of movies should be that way. They're just crazy. And when we've seen some behind the scenes stuff with various Marvel movies, it looks like the cast, it's a lot of work. Especially when you take after take after take, it's very physically demanding and can be very tiring, but it looks like they had a good cast and they had good chemistry and some fun there. And it comes through, I think, in the work too. When the cast, they don't have to be chummy, but if they can get along well enough for the work and they like to be around each other, I think it shows in the work that they do. I also think it made something very raw and very painful and very beautiful, and I think people are going to be really surprised by the outcome of a big action film having that much heart. Okay. I guess you didn't see Captain America. Captain America was pretty raw and real, especially when he wakes up and everybody he knows is dead or very old, right? It's because it is 60. So he was in the mid 40s, and then he wakes up in it's like 70 years later, almost 60, 65 years later. That's pretty raw. Okay. Pugh also spoke about how emotional fans will likely be because Johansson's character had a hard ending in Endgame. And it was special learning from her. Yeah, at least for like 10 years in these films. Yeah, that's why I said it's overdue. Yeah, that was, it was hard, but she sacrificed herself, right? I'm going to stop this video. I don't want to get struck by anything. That character, because Clint had a family and was trying to see them come back. I mean, they were all gone. So he, I think that's what we're going to learn about her past is she probably loses her family previously or something. Who knows? Maybe there's something that comes up in phase 4 that would be awesome. But Clint had a lot to lose and or / live for if they were successful. And she basically, became the ultimate team player, right? I think that was very big of her character. Her character grew to the point where she could do that. In April, Variety reported that Oscar winner Rachel Weisz would board the project as Melina. That same month, the headline announced that both David Harbour... Yeah, I know, I can't read, so buzzer off. I'm going to skip down. So we got all kinds of people. It's kind of weird that they're speculating who's in the movie at this point, considering this is the second time it's been postponed. At Elle's Woman in Hollywood event in October, Johansson revealed that production of Black Widow had wrapped a week earlier. She opened up. Actually, I hope they use this time to flesh out anything that that needs to be and maybe brush up on some special effects. I know the Ghostbusters, a new movie, that's part of what's going on there. Kate is one of the most brave and tireless crusaders I've ever had the great pleasure of collaborating with, and she reminded me every day that women just don't have a choice. What? Don't have a choice? They're systematically made to feel lesser than. Okay, this is this again? Okay, look. We had strong women in the 70s. We had strong women in the movies in the 50s. Right? Now, sometimes they're beautiful and sometimes they weren't. But, the market speaks to a lot of these, but there are, maybe Gina Davis just screwed it up for everybody. Maybe that's exactly what happened. And a couple other actresses since then, where she was a big star and was in one of the biggest flops of all time. Now, I'm not saying it's her fault, but she was the star of the movie, and that may be why. And I don't know. Yeah, some of the ones that are female-led don't do as well, but that's because, especially, it depends on the genre of movie that you're dealing with. When you're dealing with comic book movies, most of the people buying these comic books are male. In fact, they're in that teenager to early 20s. I mean, I personally haven't bought a comic book for myself. Well, until recently when I bought Evan Van Sciver's book, his first one. I hadn't bought a book since the 70s, since I was about 11 years old, 12 years old, something like that. So. I just didn't want to, I just went on to other things. So, and then many of the ones that are targeted toward women, they sell, but they don't sell nearly as well. And there's a variety of reasons. It's not sexism. An official description of the plot per IBM. Okay, a film about Natasha Romanoff and her quest between the films Civil War and Infinity. Okay, it's only that far back. I thought it was further back than that. It seems the prequels will be less about the spies' origin story, more about her journey in between two significant events in her life. Such that if it's set between Civil War and Infinity War. So after we find out the Winter Soldier, no, that's Winter Soldier. It would be after that. So it's Captain America: Civil War when they've paired off. They've kind of gone their own separate ways. Comic-Con panel for the movie. Johansson delved further into details, explaining her Entertainment Weekly, where we find Natasha in her life at the point is very specific. She really is in a dark place where she's got no one to call and nowhere to go. What? Wait a minute. She was with Captain America, and I thought, good grief. I only saw Civil War once, but didn't they all end up on Wakanda? The Captain America faction? She's really grappling with her own self. I think because Clint took the other side. and that's kind of her buddy. So maybe that's what, when something huge explodes and all the pieces are landing, you have the moments of stillness. Okay, blah, blah, blah. All right, so official D23 poster. I mean, I just hope it's a good movie. I really do. Is there a trailer? Official trailer has not been released, but fans, so we got a sneak, we had a sneak preview. And I don't care if it's written by a woman or directed by a woman. I just want a good movie. One of my favorite movies, it's not from my childhood, I guess my early adulthood, was Big. And that's Penny Marshall. And yes, I know it's a male star, in Tom Hanks, but it is a good movie and very well directed, very well put together, well cast too. And that's what matters. That is all that matters. And wouldn't be the final Marvel appearance by Black Widow. This is unclear. While there are no official plans for a Black Widow franchise, especially in the light of Endgame events, characters in the MCU tend to return. Comic-Con, okay, about the right. I think I could have made the film 10 years ago, but it would have been a very different film. Yeah, especially if it's where it's set. But I think it probably would have been much more of a caricature of a person. I feel after living an extra 10 years, becoming a mother, and life and how it happens to you, I feel much more in myself and able to explore all the kinds of things, that make me uncomfortable, and then just lay it out for you guys. It feels like I'm a stronger person by the fact that I've been I embraced my vulnerability. Well, this is probably true. She was in, what is that skin, the movie she played in Alien. I mean, you talk about being very open. I mean, that was emotionally, physically. A lot of it is they were filming and then they were kind of not cameo, but impromptu with real people. They would sign waivers. They were in a movie. A lot of it was unscripted. I mean, that is taken, especially when you're part of a big franchise and do a movie like that. I know it's a bit of an art house. I wish I could remember the name of it. I thought it's not Skin Deep, but that's a movie from the 80s. Man, inside. Anyway, that was a good movie. It's very weird and creepy, but it's a good movie. During October 22nd appearance on Tonight Show, further dispelled rumors about Black Widow will return to the big screen following the prequel. Yeah, who knows? Who knows what's going on? I think a lot of it depends on how well and what does 2021 look like. What is the movie? If 2/3 of the theaters close and never reopen, there is the big blockbuster movie is going to be over for a long time because there isn't going to be the audience to support it. Smaller movies, so budgets in the 50 to 75 million, not 150 million plus or 200 million. That's going to be, a long time if that happens. Said that her character's in game, but people, they definitely don't believe it and have tried to convince me that my character did not actually die. But no, I guess she's dead. Wait, who knows? I mean, in particular, because we've got time travel and other things, and I think that's the end of it. Yeah. You could always have some kind of flashback, flash forward, flash sideways, other universe, that type of thing, a parallel universe, whatever. So anyway, they just can't keep the sexism out of it, but this is a decent article. I mean, I'm kind of excited to see this movie. Like I said, I think it's a movie that should have been years ago. There's Rachel Weisz and Scarlett Johansson, and but where it's set makes sense, and maybe it's something that should have been out. Although between Infinity War and Endgame, that was a lot of that. There's a lot of cast to deal with, but they kind of slowed down during that time. So you could have had this, come out after Civil War. And I think it would have been fine. It obviously set where it is, but I still think and I don't know, I don't have any inside information. I don't know why it took them this long. It may be just this, they never had a story that was good. Maybe there could have been that all the story ideas were just crap. We're just, for the characters, we're kind of going backwards. We're kind of, being not true and honest, and they just kept tossing out those ideas, and when they finally had an idea for something, it was several years down the road, and or it could have been, Scarlett may not have been interested, I don't know, but I'm glad to see we're finally going to get something, and hopefully it's a good movie and people like it and it does well. So we'll see. I mean, again, tell a good story and people will buy tickets, and no one will care if it's helmed by a woman or a green alien from Mars. All right. Thank you very much. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for sharing and subscribing so much. I really, really appreciate it. And I thank you for listening for this long on my babbling. See you later and see you at the movies. Bye. Where are we? L Magazine? L.com? That's okay. Well, that's probably why. Yeah. That's pretty weird. That's a good question. All right, I think we're okay that way. And yeah, it looks good. I don't know. It reduces it every once in a while, and I forget to check it. I have been a little hot in the last several ones. Passionate, I guess. All right, 3, 2, 1.